This is the Diamondback Scout, and I think the people who choose to fly this ship are insufferable and a little dim. They're pilots who try too hard to prove they're better than everyone else, and spend too much time tinkering with the stupid thing to actually do it. The DBS is dumb, badly priced, and all but useless and outclassed in almost every way. It's a ship that lies to you and is exclusively flown by fools. And this one is mine. So let's start with the looks. I love it. Despite the name, its design is more insect than snake, but I like it anyway. I like its compact frame and engine placement, its overlapping wings covering the length of the ship. The Scout was always intended to be a recon vessel, and frankly, this is exactly what I would picture a recon ship to look like. Something that could just get lost in the distance if you weren't specifically looking for it. This is a ship that looks like it should be able to jump in from very far away and surprise an enemy when they least expect it. But that's not really how any of this works. You could ambush someone just as well with a Corvette as you would with the DBS. So what does a scout ship do when it can't really scout? In a word, cheat. It occurs to me that being seen and being able to be targeted are two very different interpretations of the word invisible. If you dabble at all in smuggling or silent running, you already know what it means to run a stealth ship. But for anyone else, you might not realize you've been flying the Diamondback Scout entirely wrong. See, things like shields, engines, and weapon fire all release heat, kindly shown on this spectrograph here. You can only be targeted if your heat is high enough. If it isn't, well, I might as well be a ghost. The thermal vent beam lasers I have mounted in the Class 1 hardpoints probably don't hurt either. The longer I keep time on target, the colder I get, and the less likely he'll be able to hit me. Even if he does manage to turn around fast enough. There are some obvious downsides though. Namely, the fact that it doesn't support enhanced thrusters is a big L in my book. But for most people, the loss of a shield can be a bit unnerving if you weren't used to flying without one. Luckily, hull reinforcements are a thing. If you make sure one of them is thermal resistant, you likely won't miss your shields at all. It's also important to note that you will actually be shot at. You're only less likely to be hit because of your reduced thermal signature. Lastly, flying a stealth ship isn't the easiest thing to do. In addition to keeping time on target, you're going to have to learn to mitigate your heat. If an enemy pilot does manage to get a bead on you, you're going to want to drop your heat and put some distance between you as fast as possible. If you want to try to be tricky, turning off flight assist, turning on silent running, and popping a heat sink should make most pilots lose target lock fairly quickly. Well, most pilots. Hashtag not all NPCs. Fortunately, all this seems to be exactly what the Scout was built to do. Literally. Lacon's Diamondback line is exceptional at heat management. It's also fast, agile, and more than capable of sitting on the tail end of pretty much anything, even with the flight assist turned on. Unfortunately, it seems to be the only thing the Scout was built to do. The Scout wasn't really built for combat, it was built for this very, very specific form of combat. Putting a shield on this thing and treating it as a typical fighter is a surefire way to get that signature Lacon canopy popped. And it will. The simple truth is that this ship was never designed to tank any kind of fire. It was designed to not be targeted. Weirdly, I'd be okay if the Scout wasn't actually able to equip a shield at all. But, as it is already, compared to its competition, the Scout is not going to be most people's first choice. Shield or not. The Cobra has mostly the same loadout, with better internals. And the Viper is faster, with a tighter hit profile. Worse, both of them are far cheaper than the Diamondback Scout. And it's not like you can't use any of them as a stealth ship. The Diamondback just regulates the heat a little bit better. I originally intended to take the Scout a couple thousand light years into the black to do this film. I figured that anybody who's been paying attention so far wouldn't be surprised I'd rather go traveling than hunting. I did manage to get a pretty respectable amount of range from the DBS before I set out, but I'll tell you honestly, I made it 3 whole jumps before I turned back. A size 3 fuel scoop is not something you want to bring if you're going more than a few jumps. Call me spoiled, but the last ship I flew had a size 7 fuel scoop. It filled the tank in seconds. I can't come back from that. And I get it. Again, the Scout simply wasn't built for exploration. That size 3 fuel scoop was meant to get you across the bubble, not to Colonia. Still, it's a bit of a reach to call this ship a combat explorer. Like I said, it lies to you. But I don't know if I hate it. I don't think I like it either, but I think I want to. Like the Clipper, I think this ship is meant for a very specific type of person. This is a ship meant for a pilot who wants a bit more of a challenge. Someone willing to take a bit of an extra risk for a strategic advantage. Or someone who wants to feel smarter than the guy they're fighting. I want to say that this ship is terrible, but I think that's what you're supposed to think. You're supposed to underestimate the guy flying the Scout. It's not meant for me, but I kind of want it to be. Hey, don't click out just yet. Real quick, I know we're all going through a bad time right now, but I'm going to ask you for a favor. I need you to help support a creator. Any creator. The people who make the stuff we watch, like this video, aren't doing so great right now, and they could really use your help. If you've liked this series, consider throwing me $1 on Patreon. I would really appreciate it, but it doesn't have to be me. It could be Plater, or Yemix, or Exegius, or even Dig, even though he does Star Citizen stuff now. I'm asking that if you can help people now, then please do, so we can all keep going together. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I really do hope you liked it. The soundtrack is available on the Patreon page for free, just saying. Hit the thumbs up for the algorithm, subscribe if you haven't, and if you already have, then thank you again. Sincerely. I'll see you next time.